Welcome to the new Korum DVD. I'm joined here by Gribble. We're on Bluebell Lakes near Peterborough, and the plan is that we're going to catch some bream for you today, show you some of the tactics and tips that we use to catch the big fish on my local waters, and Di's going to show you the waters some further afield. We've already had a good night, is that right, Di?
We've had a good night. We got here late afternoon, Gary, and we've had a few fish in the net already. Probably more than we get in a whole season in normal conditions, but perhaps not as big. But that's why we've chosen Bluebell. We've come to Bluebell because it's quite a prolific water, and hopefully we can catch a few fish in daylight for the camera.
Absolutely, we need it to be a prolific venue, don't we, so that we can show the tactics and hopefully get a few fish.
That's right, Gary. Let's get to it.
One of the key aspects when bream fishing is accuracy, and accuracy of both your baiting, of your loose feed, and making sure that your hook baits get in that same position. I'm going to show you a very quick, simple method to make sure that you do that every time. Now, when we arrived last night, we used a marker float and a leading rod just to discover exactly what the bottom of the lake was out there and get into a situation where we were confident that there'd be bream in that spot. Once we'd done that, we cast out the spod and we'd clip the spod up tight to the marker float. What we then do is we tie the spod up to one of the bank stakes that you can see here, and then we walk the spod rod out still on the clip. When it gets to the extreme over there, we put another bank stake in exactly where the reel is. That ensured that the two bank stakes now is the exact distance we're fishing from where we cast out into the lake. Then all you simply do is you take your feeder. What I'll do is just simply clip it over the rod rest like that. And then what I'll do is I'll walk backwards with this, keeping the line tight. And if we've got this right, what you should see is the marker braid that I've used will be about a foot from my rod tip. This might seem like a little bit of effort, but I can assure you it's well worthwhile. It gives you the confidence that you're always presenting your bait right over your loose feed, and that's where the bream are going to be. You don't want to be casting off it. You want to be right on the money every time. So we're walking back now, and boom, there, right on the clip. As you can see, that's on the clip. So when you finish pacing it out and you come, the line on your reel that you're fishing with hits the clip. If you drop it down, you can see exactly on the spod rod. Again, that's on the clip there. You know your bait is going directly on top of where you've spotted all your bait. Nice little tip that. Might seem like a little bit of trouble to do it, but it's well worth doing. It will catch you a lot of extra fish. So that's the way I like to do it, but there are occasions on a swim which is just slightly more compact. You don't have the room to walk up and down with the bank stakes. What you can do is you can use the measuring sticks, which are purpose made for it. They set 12 foot apart, and you literally count your line out and measure it that way. It's another good alternative method, especially for tight swims. And this is what we've come for. This is what we're here today, to show you how these tactics work, and at the Korum gear, the fishing made easy stuff that we use is very simply put to use with these nice fish. They're coming onto the feed now. They obviously moved in on the feed that we've put out. Now, I think we'll take it to the nooking mat, and I'll briefly talk you through the rig that we've used to catch it. Here we go. Got the mat already in place, all wetted. It's important to protect the slime on these fish, or they can pick up parasites, diseases. The barbless hook should just fall out there. A single grain of corn mixed with a krill pellet, just to give it that neutral buoyancy. Let's get this fish back. Now, they don't normally allow the use of keep nets here on Bluebell, but for the sake of the feature, they've allowed us to put a few bream in this today, just so we can show you. It's well staked out in deep water, which is obviously very important when you've got the sun out like this. We'll just slip him in gently. There you go. Brilliant. Let's go and get a few more, eh?
Right, I'm going to talk you through the ground bait that I would normally use for a bream session. I've got a number of ingredients, and the idea is to provide a nice mixed variety of baits that the fish, and hopefully at least something in there, will attract the bream. The one thing you'll notice, there's not a lot of big particles, and what I like to do when I'm particularly fishing for very big bream is use a specific hook bait that they're drawn to. So the ground bait's to bring them into the general area, and then you want a nice high attract hook bait like a pineapple boilie or krill boilie that stands out and is a little bit bigger, and hopefully that acts as the cherry on the cake and attracts the fish to that bait. And that's obviously because if you're putting all this bait in the swim, you don't want them to eat all of that before they eat your hook bait. So what we've got is hemp and hallie crush, which is a mixture of crushed hemp and a lot of crushed halibut seeds. You can see they're fairly small. When they take on water they swell up a little bit. Bream love halibut pellets. A lot of carp anglers complain that if they use pellets they get invaded by bream, but that we can use to our advantage. And then we've got a slightly paler, which is a sweet corn, maize, fish meal and crushed pellets, which has got a lovely sweet corn smell. You can see the little bits of sweet corn in there, they'll again swell up. Again, bream love sweet corn and sweet things. And then I've got some 2mm krill pellets, again small pellets. Lots of those because it takes the bream a lot of time to eat those, so they're going to be in the swim for a long time before they get filled up. And then just something else that's a bit different is the halibut pellets, but these are a little bit bigger, so I wouldn't use anywhere near as many of those. Probably 3 times as many, 3 parts to 1 part of that, and then a bag each of these would be a sort of starting point, a nice even mix. And what you've got there is a nice mixture of attractions and textures. To that I'll add some hemp and corn. You can see a nice mix, nice small grains of hemp, again keep the bream occupied. And then on top of that, if I'm feeling I've got a good head of bream in there, I might want to put some just normal tinned sweet corn in. And then I like to mix it up with some liquids, CSL flavour and the bream liquid flavour, which has got a lovely intense sweet corn flavour. And then one of my must-haves, not actually Robinson's fruit and barley, but molasses, which is very water soluble, very sweet, and you can't overdo it. The bream love it. And then what we've got in there is a nice mixture of everything put together, and that can then be either balled into a ground bait, in which case you need to make it a little damper to make the balls hold together, or you can put it directly into a spod or a spom and put it out, and as you would do with other particle mixes.
One of the other tactics that we're trying here today is using a couple of new products here from Korum. We've got the grub feeders and we've got the special leaders. The special leaders come in green and brown, very abrasion resistant, sink like a stone, pin it nicely down to the bottom. Another nice advantage with these is they don't contain lead, so on fisheries whereby there is a lead core ban, these are not only safe, but you can use them there without any issues. Moving down, I'll show you the way I like to fish it. I like to fish it with a mono hook length because it's much less susceptible to tangling than braid. And what I do is a strong hook, this one's the Expert Power, and with that I like to use a rubber maggot, a fake maggot, hooked and threaded up the shank like that, which gives it the effect of a liner, which puts an aggressive angle into it, so every time you turn it, as you can see, the hook digs in there, catches the fish in its bottom lip. The way I like to fish that then is we've got the fake maggot on there, and I like to add 2 or 3 natural maggots, 2 genuine maggots, there we go. That critically balances the whole rig, obviously because the rubber maggot's floating, these tend to sink. You get a lovely critically balanced bait which the fish home in on and pick up. They're great for all kinds of species, these, not just bream, in particular tench. I've caught a lot of tench on this rig. Also on the rivers, it's very useful on the rivers. The flat surface keeps it pinned to the bottom. Obviously the maggots start slowly coming out of it. What you can also do when the fish are really having it and coming short to the feeder, it's got a little clip there so you can turn your line, bang it into that clip there, and you're fishing it even shorter right up against the feeder. You do get instances when the fish come and rattle the feeders trying to get the maggots out, and of course they touch that, prick themselves and they're hooked. Okay, I'll show you quickly how we fill the feeder. It's simple, little thumb grip on there, just press it, open it comes, place it into the palm of your hand. Unlike a lot of normal feeders, once the maggots go in, these can't escape until you choose to close it. Fill it in nicely like that. Again, simple, you'll hear the click. There you go, the finished rig, ready to go. Very effective rig, two great new products from Korum. Okay, now you've seen how I've put the rig together. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like in the water, a fish's eye view if you like. It drops down to the bed, always lands right side up due to the weight at the bottom. The nice natural opaque colour of the feeder blends in nicely, goes almost transparent. There, just down from it, 3 or 4 inches away, you can see the fake grub and the real maggots working effectively. Slowly the real grubs work their way out. Nice little bed all around that. Perfect presentation every time.
I'd like to just talk you through the rig I use for a lot of my stillwater fishing for bream and tench. It's a very versatile rig. You can vary the components and the sizes of everything, the weights of everything. It is essentially a ready heli kit, which is a ready-made, prepared to slide onto your line. It's prepared with 2 stops and a swivel, and you just slide that onto your main line, which you can see there. And then your hook length goes onto the swivel with a little sleeve over it. And there are 2 types. There's either one with just a swivel you tie directly to, or you can have a quick change one. When the quick change one allows you to change your hook lengths more frequently. I tend to use the standard kit with a grinner knot to the swivel, as I feel that's slightly more reliable for big fish where I'm not looking to take any chances. I want to land everything I catch. The main line is then just tied. You can either tie it direct to a feeder, or you can put a link swivel on to enable you to change the feeder. I tend to use the 60 gram, the 2 ounce feeder all the time, so I don't really worry too much about looking to change it. But that's on still waters. On rivers, obviously, you're trying to balance your tackle a little bit more carefully with the flow and the options of the 45 and the 75 gram. Excuse me. Hopefully this shows the success of the heli kits. Just demonstrating one as this tore off. It's first fish for a long time. It's gone very, very quiet, and we've put a bit of bait in with the spod, and it seemed about an hour ago while Gary was doing a bit of presenting, and it looks like it might have just woken them up a bit. It's actually not a bream, it's a little carp that's sneaked into the swim. But on a day like this with the bright sunshine, I think we're quite happy to welcome anything to the net. There, we've got it. Just shows that the rig catches bream and carp. What we've got here is a nice, pretty little fish, lovely scale pattern. Not the biggest fish, but maybe he'll go on to be as big as Benson was in these lakes, 50 pounds plus. Big humpy back, pretty little fish. Not quite what we were after, but it's better than nothing in the bright sunshine in the middle of the day. I'll just put him back. Off to grow bigger, hopefully, a lot bigger. Another 50 pounder for Bluebell perhaps. 10 years time, maybe 15. Net ready for a bream next time, hopefully. Right, we can get back to showing the heli kit again. Little interlude there. Right, where were we? We've got heli rig with an open end for ground bait. When I'm fishing on still waters, I like the combi feeder because you can just take the ends off like that, so you can use it as an open-ended feeder with a ground bait, or if you want to use particles, you can put small pellets in, or maggots, or even chop worms. I use a lot of chop worms when I'm tench fishing in the spring. You can just use one feeder, does both jobs. That's the heli rig, you can see, and one of the beauties of the helicopter rig, or the heli rig as it gets called regularly, is its versatility. You can easily vary the hook length, and you can then have it very close to the feeder or a long way up from the feeder if their fish are getting a bit shy and keeping away from it. The one thing you must never do if you want to avoid tangles is have it where the bait can actually touch the feeder, because then you've got a potential for it to get tangled up in the swivel. So always keep the bait at least sort of half an inch away from the swivel at the very least. Very, very variable. You can use different hook lengths. With the quick change, you just slide a loop on to the little hook on the swivel, the quick change swivel. It's easy just to push that through and then slide the rubber sleeve up. It's nice and tight so it can't come off. And if you leave the loop that you're using on the end of your hook length a little longer, don't worry, because that creates a little boom and it just actually keeps the hook further away, which means when you're going to cast, it holds the bait away from the main line, making tangles even less likely. And with mono, as I say, I very rarely get a tangle with these. I won't say never, but I don't think that applies to any rig. And the hook links that I use on the heli rig are tied usually with the expert. I like the power hook. In this case with Bluebell we're using barbless, and they're tied to expert power mono. Depending on the strength, I very rarely go below 6 when I'm fishing for big fish, and quite often I'll be using 8 or 10, especially if there's a chance of a big carp as well. And a lot of the venues you're fishing for big bream and tench have also got some very big carp, and you want to give yourself a good chance of landing those as well. The hook line I use for everything now, more or less, certainly for the heli rigs, is the expert power mono, which actually is a very robust line. It doesn't always look as if it's a great line because it comes off a bit curly off the spool because it's on a small spool for convenience, but you just run your hands down there, your fingers, not pulling the line, just smoothing it, and you can just iron it out. And if it gets spun up while you're fishing, when you're pulling it through weed or anything like that, you can just smooth it again through your fingers, not stretching it, just ironing it out. And it's a very robust line. A lot of the matchmen are still using this, started using this now, because it's actually so much more robust. They're getting more fish per rig. And the hook length is then tied to a ready heli kit. I tend to use the standard swivel. You just slide the end of the line through the sleeve and then tie it to the swivel with a grinner knot. I usually start with about 4 inches, but the beauty is you can very easily change it to a shorter hook length if they're being a bit shy, and you can move it up and down the distance from the feeder, and that can often make the difference between getting a bite or not, and that obviously is what we're after.
So you can see, even in the, what is it now, 12:30, the sun's out, it's hot. Just when you think it's going to die down, you can see the effectiveness of these methods. This is the Dura feeder, it's just away. Pretty sure this is another bream. A couple of, pineapple boilies. And what I'll do is, when I've got this fish in, I'll show you the rig, I'll show you how I tie it up, and I'll show you the mechanics of it and how it works. But hopefully we can get this fish in first and take it from there. I think, pretty sure, as I say, yeah, it's another bream. One thing about this venue, the water's quite deep in the margins, which means that the bream do tend to fight all the way to the net, which is nice, because you're here for the pleasure at the end of the day, aren't we? There we go. This time, oh, not finished yet. There we go, another nice fish. Caught in the middle of the day on the Dura feeder. I think what we'll do now, I'll show you how I tie the rig up, how I present the bait, and show you what is the successful method for this bream. Let's go. You can see the effectiveness of the rig, safe rig. The feeder's moved up the line, keeps it nice and safe. The hook right in the middle of the bottom lip, barbless hook, just falls out nicely. Let's move that to one side now. Let's take a look at this one. Again, another nice looking fish. Let's just move that out of the way so you can have a look at him before we get him back. There you go, another nice bluebell fish, good condition, probably around £5. Certainly getting a few of these now today. The tactics are really working, they've homed in on that bait, and obviously the rigs we're using are really effective. Let's get some more, eh? Let's get him put away. Always important, carry your fish back to the water, in the sling, in the unhooking mat, make sure they're nice and safe. Again, always fish safety is paramount, even moving the fish into the net. Always take the sling down to the net or down to the water. Everything nice and careful, nice and slowly. Fish's priority comes first. Slide them in, there you go. Here we are, they're still coming strong now. We've obviously moved in on the bait. This one, it's probably going to be about the same stamp, another 5 or 6 pound fish. It's picked up a single 8mm pineapple boilie in conjunction with a helicit and a combi feeder. Seems to be working well. They're definitely liking the fruit flavoured ones, aren't they, Di?
They seem to be definitely on the pineapple today.
Here we go. That's got him.
I think that's the biggest yet.
Lovely, nice dark fish. Just go and take him to the mats.
I'll leave that one with you then.
Thank you.
Well done, guys.
Here we go. Here's another one of the bream. This one looks like a male. You can see the tubercles on it. Nice dark fish. Starting to get slightly bigger. You can see the single pineapple boilie there. Barbel suit just dropped straight out. And there's the helicit, simple helicit, which has worked again on this fish. This is the combi feeder. Fish does an open end with the 2 caps taken off. Let's just put that out the way there. Keep him on the mat. Mat's already nicely wet. There you go, you can see he's a bit of a gnarly old male. The marks, but nonetheless, that's the stamp of fish we're expecting today. Bites are coming thick and fast now. They seem to have got their heads down on that feed. Let's get 1 or 2 more for the camera now, shall we?
Well, apart from a couple of little carp, it's been very quiet. I've just put some couple of worms on the one rod, a couple of small worms, and there's just a little bit of interest there, a little bleep, but it doesn't appear to have gone. So I wonder whether it's something like a small perch has come in on the bait and just picked it up. But the beauty of the helicopter rig is they haven't got to move the feeder like an inline line, so actually give you an indication. So it is very sensitive rig compared to something with a where they've got to actually move the whole of the feeder or a lead to actually move your bobbin. But hopefully the bobbin will move very quickly shortly, but not this time. Looks like a bite. That was well timed. Shows the fine line. I was just thinking of changing this one over from a heli rig onto a Dura method, and just as you're filming the rig, off it goes. So often a fine line. I've done that before now, left a rod out because I'm just thinking of changing it and done something to delay that, and off it's gone with a really big fish. So. That was on a heli rig with a krill and pineapple boilie, bit of each, just cut down so that the weight of the hook just balances the weight of the fish. It looks like he's had an early life encounter with a cormorant there by the look of it. But obviously fully recovered, but that will go with him for the rest of his life.
I have a bit of a reputation for not fishing for carp. Is about the politest way I can put it. Some say I don't like carp. But so the guys are taking great delight in getting a photograph of me holding one. It's a pretty little thing. It floats some people's boat, but they're not my species. That said, all fish deserve respect. Let's get him back. As you can see in the background, I've only got 1 rod in. I'd like to say it's because the bream have moved in numbers, but no, these have instead. Again, you can see this one fell to the helicit and the feeder that Di's been using today. Just pop that hook out. As you can see, this one's fell for the helicit again. feeder just beyond it, maybe 8 inches down with 4 or 5 inch hook link. Works well for all species. In this instance, this little common's decided to take it. I'm going to get him back as soon as I can though and get my rods out, and hopefully I can get a bream next time. Still good fun though. Come on. So what do you think, Di?
I think it's a sign the bream aren't out there.
The bream are not out there. Do you think maybe if we spom a little bit in, half an hour or so, give it a bit?
Spom it in, might scare them off and bring the bream in. I think the advantage, if we put a bit of bait in with the spom, it might just scare the little carp off and bring the bream in. I think it's worth a try.
Yeah, I've had experience of that before. The carp tend to fly off if you put a couple of spoms over their heads.
That said, little carp might be different. There's only one way to find out.
Well, we've nothing to lose there. Let's put 3 or 4 spoms in each swim and see how it reacts to it.
Sounds a good.
Okay,
sounds
mate.
a plan.
Let's go. That one took a combination of a soft pellet and a piece of fake corn. I think what I'm going to do, just to keep the flavour going in, this one's been out in the water now for a good couple of hours, so I've got a couple here, just in a bit of concentrated flavour in, so I'll just change that one over. Just boost the attractiveness of your bait. Only little small things, and you never know whether you catch in spite of or because of, but from my point of view it certainly gives you a lot more confidence, and I've always believed that a confident angler is usually a successful angler. You just tend to fish harder when you've got confidence in the rigs and the methods that you're using. As I pointed out before, you should be able to see, you can make out the marker braid on my spool there. I'm going to bang this out straight back where it's come from. 100% confident this is going to drop right on the bait that's out there. So what I did as I cast out then, I actually heard the braid, the elastic, rattle through the rings. As soon as you heard it, finger on the spool, stop it dead. Your bait drops down exactly where you want it. As you can see from the edge of the rod tip, foot from the rod tip, you've got the marker elastic, and all my bait's bang on the money. Right in the zone, and I'm sure that's going to go off again. Just get it down on the rest. Press the bobbin on, just loosen the clutch slightly, make sure the fish can take line. If a big one takes it, if a carp hits it, there you go, perfect. Ready for the next fish. Let's go and get my other rod out now. Takes a while to settle. It's quite deep out there. We're fishing about 14 foot of water. Right, so all 3 rods out again. I think I'll show you how to set up that Dura feeder now that's been catching all these fish. Okay, what I'm going to do now is show you how I fish the Dura method feeder. It's a cracking little piece of kit, very popular with both specimen anglers and the match guys. It's a very effective feeder. Straight out of the pack it comes with a mould, which I've got in here, which I'll show you how to use with the feeder itself a little bit later. It comes with a quick change bead and a tail rubber. What I do, I actually change this a little bit, principally because my bait tends to stay out a bit longer than the matchman do, and I get a bit paranoid about tangles and what have you, so I've just got a couple of little changes on it. What I do, I use it in conjunction with the expert speci leader, which you can see here. Again, just like when I showed you the maggot feeder, this pins it down tight to the bottom, stops fish trailing in it, very abrasion resistant, holds it tight to the bottom, as I said, stops fish bumping into it while they're feeding and spooking them. What I also do is I remove the small tail rubber on that and replace it with one of these longer rig sleeves. As you can see there, what that does, again, it just ensures that there's no tangling. Should this pop out of the centre of air on casting, it can't get up beyond there and tangle the rig up. What I like to do with this, because I'm actually going to tuck the bait into the feeder, then I'm quite happy to use braid. I do like using braid when I can. It's much more supple, it gives a lot more freedom of movement for the bait, so I like to use that, and because of the way it's fished, there's no problem with tangling. Okay, so that's how we've got it set up there. Also, I'm fishing with two pop-up boilies, again pineapple ones that have done really well today. One thing to note, and a reason why you should always check your bait before you cast out, with two of these on, the weight of the hook, it actually floats. So if you didn't adjust it in any way, it would be sat up in the water like that, which is quite unnatural. Doesn't mean you wouldn't catch, but not really how you want it. So what I've done, I've got a small shot, a number 4, nipped it. I tried 2 or 3 of these shot until I got one which just perfectly sunk it, critically balanced as we called it. So that rig is now, I believe, absolutely perfect to go. What I'll do now is I'll show you how we load it. To present the bait, very straightforward. Drop your bait into there. These are just trout pellets soaked with a bit of molasses. Drop them down. You don't want this to be too compact because you want the bait to come out, but you also want it to be strong enough to withstand the cast. So I just squeeze that in like that. Turn it over, quick press down. There you go. That hits the water, drops down like that every time. The fish move in, start pecking away at this. As it dissolves, the boilies will pop up, giving you a little presentation like that. Absolute perfect presentation every time. Very enticing, very attractive. And today it's probably been the most successful rig I've had out there.
You in, Gaz?
I am, mate, you?
Yeah, together, I think.
Looks like that bit of spomming paid dividends, mate.
Weird how they both went together.
Yeah. Mine's a bream, I can see it up on the surface.
Oh, because I can as well. Mine,
Well,
I think, is
it will
a bream.
be nearer my swim than yours. Middle rod again. Dura feeder. Certainly showing them today, isn't it? Here we go. Nice and easy does it. Lovely. See that? 2 boilers again. Certainly worked really well that today. Strange how that happens, isn't it, Di?
They must have gone together.
All that period of quiet and then 2 together.
They're
I think I would say
peas in a pod.
I would say they were certainly shoal fish, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I'll just pull that net out of the way. Let's lay them side by side. There you go. It's slightly bigger, yours, I think, mate. Bigger chest there.
Yeah, a bit deeper, but
Yeah.
And they're probably twins, but I bet they're the same age.
Yeah, yeah.
Could be brother and sister.
Could be. Certainly from the same year class, aren't they?
They're lucky.
Come together. Strange that, wasn't it? Nothing for a couple of hours and then both go at once. A couple of nice bream. Hear the peal of thunder there in the background.
Yes.
Got together.
Indeed.
A couple of hours of silence and then there you go, guys. Let's get him back. Yeah, let's get him back.
It's a nice black backdrop over there. That rain's gone through and they've started feeding. The thing with bream is that one minute they feel big because they're side on, and then they come head first, come straight towards you, and suddenly they don't feel so big. This one felt very big at first and now it doesn't. He's having a good nodding of his head as we comes in now.
As I said before though, they do fight better in this deeper water, don't they?
Oh, it's a gnarled old thing by
Yeah.
the look of it.
Looks like that spodding work, mate.
Yeah.
Them
it
half a
certainly
dozen
has.
spoms, it's just made a bit of a difference for us, hasn't it?
Go on, get that net out.
Yeah. There you go, mate. Nicely done. Yeah. It's a better fish, mate.
That's a bigger one.
That's a better fish. Go on, get your rod, mate.
I've got
Nice
the rod.
for you.
Thank you, Gilly. Thanks, Gaz.
You're welcome.
I think that's the biggest yet, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an older fish, that one, isn't it? Certainly. It's definitely an older fish. You're lucky, mate. I'll clear your rod for you. There you go.
Thank you. Definitely a dark old thing. He's a bit what you'd call a warrior.
Get that away for you, mate.
Not a bad one. Another £10. It'd be a nice fish.
Different year class, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's an old. I mean, you
Yeah.
can see he's got black marks and scars and all sorts. Those black marks don't change. I remember the first ever double I had nearly 30 years ago. I had 2 black marks, and I could recognise it a year later, and you could see it. And once you knew what you're looking for, you could recognise it immediately.
That's an old wound, isn't it? You can see where the
That's a
indentation
Korum,
there. Yeah. Something's had a go at that.
But I think on some of these waters, even with the very few big fish, they get caught quite often by the carp anglers and the bream anglers.
Yeah.
There are certain fish seem to just populate, I mean, certain areas, and that you can find them very easily. Let's get him in the net.
Let's get him while the sun's on him, mate.
Lovely.
Well done, Di.
Cheers. It's about time.
Di has also moved over to the Dura feeder now. Certainly been much more successful than the heli rigs for this today. Obviously, they're homing in on the attractiveness of the pellets. That's another one ready to go. You see the baits there, nicely presented. Let's bang that out.
You can probably hear it's just started raining, and that's just brought a couple of fish onto the feed, and we've both had a fish double hook up, and then I've had another one, the best fish so far of the day. Let me just show you the baits we're using. We're using oozing boilies from Sonu. They're pineapple, tutti frutti and krill, and they've all got a colour in them, so if you put them in the water, the actual colour comes off and acts as a cloud, which is why I've got orange fingers. And this is the tutti frutti, so if I just put that in there, if you watch over a fairly short period of time, the hook just holds it down. It would float otherwise. I can put one in the water and just show you how they normally would float. And over time you can see the flavour and the colour coming out, and that acts as a nice draw for the bream, particularly on a better stock water. Obviously that's not going to last for a long time, so if you're fishing for really big fish where you're probably casting out just on dark and then leaving it all night, they probably won't make a lot of difference. But for this kind of fishing where you're getting lots and lots of fish potentially in the day, any little trick like this, any little tip can actually make a difference to your catch rate. And what we found today is that early on when I was catching on the pineapples, and then very, very quiet, I tried corn, and we're bringing out a new one, krill corn, which I'm pretty sure will be an absolute killer. And we've got krill boilies, and even using cocktails of them, but the last fish I've been catching were on the tutti frutti, so it's worth just changing. And there's also bandums, which are a little bit brighter, but I'm not so keen on those on waters with lots of small carp, because the small carp seem to be very, very keen on the bright colours. As you can see now in here, you've got a real colour around that, and that in nice clear water that we've got in the gravel pits will very much attract the bream to your bait. Oh. No, I think I've just got the Dura method on there. Oh no, it's swimming straight at me. It's either developed life or there's a fish there. Going all over my other line. A lively little number. Possibly the smallest carp of the day, I think. There's one for you, Gary, your favourite fish. A nice pretty little fish with lots of scales. They're going to look very nice fish when they get a lot bigger. And there's the right environment out there, and if they keep eating my bait, they're going to get bigger quicker. I'd hopefully put him back to go back to its friends and convince themselves to leave my bait alone and leave it for the bream. It's just slipping back. Just putting a couple of boilies on, and this time I've got a tutti frutti and a pineapple, one of each. If you can't decide which ones they prefer on the day, give them one of each and let them decide. They don't need to choose then, they can have both. The pellets have got a little bit damper, which is probably good with that rain. We're beginning to dry out. You need to make sure they are nice and damp and sticky, or they won't stick on, because especially in deep water, I mean, there's about 15 feet of water out where we're fishing, so you want a nice tight pellet mix, because otherwise it's going to break up and you lose the whole idea. The whole idea is that sits on the bottom, bait will just be slightly buoyant, so we'll just pop up vertically, sat on top of it. Any self-respecting fish coming in is going to see that and hopefully decide it wants the nice tasty cherry rather than the fishy pellets, because there's lots of those out there, and hopefully it won't be out there for long. Turn the volume of that down. Fingers crossed. Right, back to rig tying.
Okay, quieting down a little bit now, so I'm not filling it in. I'm just putting maybe 4 or 6 spods over the top, just to freshen up the swim a bit.
Oh, that's another one. Excellent. This one feels more bream-like, hopefully. Oh yes. Just don't hurry it into the net too much. That's the one we just baited up with the tutti and pineapple. It wasn't out long, as we hoped. We line out the reeds, the bank. You can see that's a much younger, fresher looking fish than the last one. Almost scale perfect, no great gnarly marks, and much paler. That's got a lot of growing to do, that has. Could be a much bigger fish in a few years. You can see there's still pellets left in the feeder where I've really compressed it in, because I want to make sure in the deep water it's going down, and that actually means that my bait's been sat with a lot of attraction around it.
Well, it's been a great day, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've been a sport, a bit intermittent, but it's been steady, and we've both had a few fish now.
You've been pretty consistent. Strange way they started off in that end of the swim, didn't they, this morning? We seem to catch a lot more that way, and they've obviously come in from that side, and now you're picking up a lot more fish, aren't you?
I think you pressured them this morning, Gary, out of your swim. You caught too many this morning.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at the album, and that one there, that was your first, wasn't it, off the mere?
Yeah. It meant a lot to me, that fish, because, as you know, I've fished the Cheshire and Shropshire Meres for some time now, and that was, I went back last year and fished a water, 90-acre water on the Cheshire Shropshire border, and within a couple of weeks of starting, I had that, which was 15, 12, really.
It's a big fish for that area.
Yeah, it's a lovely old fish, big male. You can see all the tubercles all over, and I thought, to be honest, if I'd never caught a bigger fish from one of my local mares, I'd have been happy, but incredibly, I went back 2 weeks later and we had that one.
Blimey.
That's a proper old warrior, isn't it?
That's an old warrior, but it's big. And how big was that?
That was 17 pound too. As you can see, there's a couple of marks on it, but it's a proper old fish, really deep bronze fish, isn't it? Really dark fish, and I mean, to imagine what that survived, it's probably 30 years old, that fish, you know, survived predation from birds and other fish, pike and whatever. More recently, there's otters on the water as well, so it's, you know, it's almost a living fossil, that creature, isn't it?
Lovely.
You've got some pictures of some of your southern fish, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got one. That was a particularly nice fish. That broke my personal best at 16.2.
Oh, I think you better take that, Dave.
Better get that. Oh. I don't think this is going to be a 16.2.
I don't think it is, mate, but it's...
it's a good sport.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I mean, you're not going to catch many big fish at this time of day, are you? But it's good sport, and anybody who wants to go out and start catching big fish, they'd be far better off starting to catch this kind of size bream and master these first.
Well, you can perfect your methods, can't you? It gives you a chance to tinker around with your rigs, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be confident. If you've got methods that, it doesn't really matter what size, you want methods that you know work, that you're confident in. So
yeah.
Catch a few fish on a Dura method, and you'll be, and you know then.
That is a little one. You're going to pop him out in the net, mate.
Yeah, I'm going to pop him out and put him straight back, I think.
Yeah.
Back he goes. That's barely. It's only just past
Well,
the skin.
that's probably the smallest one we've had in the session, isn't
Indeed.
it? Strange that. Still, as you were saying, it does give you the opportunity to refine your rigs, doesn't it?
That's right.
Practice things, you know.
If you're going to be sitting there for 3 nights for one bite or 3 weeks for one bite, you want to know what's sat out there.
Me.
Oh, they've come on again.
Yeah, in.
Is it a bream?
It feels that way. You got that gentle nodding of the head, you know.
I better get your net.
Yeah.
I return the favour.
Fighting well again.
Yeah. It's just as they come up that shelf from the deep water, isn't it? Oh, he's just coming off. You've got him off.
Yeah. Here we go.
Oh, that's the
Thank
one.
you.
That's a bigger one, definitely.
Yeah, it's a nicer fish, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Okay, should we take him to the mats?
Yeah. There you go.
Now that's a similar size to the one you had, but it's obviously a much younger fish, isn't it? You can tell in its condition.
Yeah.
Much younger fish.
Paler.
Not many marks on it, is there? Okay.
Oh, the old pineapples again on the Dura
Yeah,
method.
yeah, a pair of them. Real good sport today. Consistent sport. Fish of this size, 5, 6. One's coming up to maybe 7 and 8 pounds, but nice consistent fishing. That's a lovely looking fish, that one.
That's it, perfect. Lovely, almost flat.
Yeah, try that, Adam.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
You got him?
Yeah. Oh, Gaz, that was a nice little break from reminiscing.
Interesting, that, wasn't it?
Yes, yours was a little bit bigger that time.
Yeah. There's no better way to break the conversation than with the take, though, is there? Let's
Indeed,
be
yes.
honest. Anyway, what was you telling me about your southern fish?
That was one of a personal best that I didn't think I'd ever break. I had a 16.2 back in 2003, and then
That's impressive.
And then I had that at 16.4.
A young-looking fish that day.
That was a very young-looking fish, another male like your
Yeah.
one. And then the one that I'll probably never beat,
Wow.
18.12.
That was from an Oxfordshire pit, wasn't it?
That was from an Oxfordshire
Yeah, I remember
pit.
you catching that.
Yeah,
I remember you catching that.
Casting to a bar 115 yards out, about 6 feet wide, half a rod length wide. I had my marker on the tip ring, and I knew if I cast out and put the bobbin on, if the marker was between the tip ring and the spigot, I was on the bar.
Bang on it, yeah.
And
I think we described that earlier, how you use the elastic to mark it.
I mean, it just shows how important it is being accurate.
Well, I think that's more so when you're fishing waters that are particularly weedy, isn't it? And you're finding the small patches between the weed or the small plateaus in it.
Which is where most of the big bream, and they don't tend to like weed, they do like the clear spots, I've found.
I mean, that's one of the things we've done today, isn't it? I mean, when we came here last night to try and decide what swim to choose, basically we looked for a large open area, didn't we, with a consistent bottom.
Well, they're a big shoal fish, and on a lake like this, they've got to move around the lake to find food.
Yeah. Would you agree with the old adage that for tench you can't fish close enough in, and for bream you can't fish far enough out?
More or less, yeah.
It's a good starting point,
Yeah.
isn't it? You know, generally, if someone who's new to bream fishing comes and looks at the water like this, I would try and get yourself to the widest part of the lake and fish as close to centre as you can.
Yeah.
Presumably, but you know, I was making the assumption there's no weed there.
I know if you're fishing a water that's got a history, find out where the bream have been caught before, because they'll be caught there again.
Absolutely. And how much difference do you think the wind makes?
A lot.
Yeah.
Especially a new wind.
Yeah. I think that's helped us today, don't you? The fact that we've had a breeze going all day, it's kept those fish moving.
Well, the breeze dropped earlier, and you could see the carp on the top. And
yeah, I think there's a few bream amongst them as well, don't you?
Yeah. Right.
And I think it worked freshening it up when we put a few more spoms of bait out. You know, things were getting quiet, didn't they? And it just kicked it into life again, didn't they?
Gives them a little bit of a thought to, is there something out there am I missing out on something?
Yeah, I don't think you need to put massive amounts of bait in that situation, do you? Just topping it up, freshening the swim.
Yeah, keeping their interest going. And then the cherry on the cake principle. Get them to those pineapple boilies, the tutti fruttis, they're definitely homing in on them.
I suppose the thing that keeps us going on a water like this is that I know they're smaller fish than what we generally target, but there are doubles in here, aren't there?
I'm led to believe they go to about 12. So
how long is it since you had your first double? How many years is it since you had your first double die?
29 years this year.
29? I wasn't even born then.
In your dreams.
You was nearly speechless again then, wasn't you? No, I think it would have been closer to 20 years when I had my first one. I think it was £10 3 ounce from a mere in Cheshire.
Well, I still run a syndicate on the water I had my first one from, and it's one of the few waters with next to no carp in, so you'll be very happy there.
Okay. Well, it's been a great session. Shall we see if we can get one or two more?
One or two more, and then
Let's
home.
go. Come on.
Yeah, this one's taken a long time to come in. I think it might have had the line round its fin sometime, then they come in sideways and they feel enormous. But you can always hope it's that mystery elusive double in here. Certainly a bigger one, bigger than the last one. Again on the Dura method, that seems to be the method today, definitely. Another combination boilie working again. Just nick that barbless out. That's almost fin perfect, that one. Very nice. Quite a fin perfect fish, that. Very scales are very bright. I wouldn't mind being reacquainted with that one. Oh, lively little number. Wouldn't mind being reacquainted with that fish when it's got a 1 in front of its weight. Let's get her back now.
And still they keep coming. Feed them and they will come. As we were saying before, I'm sure this weather's helped us. This fresh breeze coming down the lake all day has kept these fish with their heads down. And they've just been coming steadily throughout the session. Very enjoyable fishing. I'm sure with the tactics that we've shown you today, we're very easy to pick up a few bits and pieces from your tackle shop. Come and employ these methods on a fishery near you. Very effective, very simple, fishing made easy. Okay, yet another bream. I think that's a nice one to end the session on, maybe 7.5 pounds. Lovely pigeon chested fish, bronze colouring. Lovely way to finish the session. I think I'll put my rods away now and return the 2 or 3 fish we've got in the net. See you soon.
We wouldn't normally use a keep net, but to demonstrate what the effectiveness of the tactics we've been using is, we've used a keep net. We've had special permission from Bluebell Lakes, and we put most of the fish we've caught into the net, and we're going to let them go out of the net. We're not going to lift the net and cause them to batter themselves about. We're just going to give you an idea, give the viewer an idea of how successful and how, even on a day with bright sunshine and far from perfect conditions for bream fishing, you can actually catch a good bag of fish and have a great day's fishing.
Few of the fish, see.
see they've darkened up because we've had them in the shade, and that often happens. They look good old fish now.
Fighting fit.
Fighting fit. We've been keeping an eye on the net every half hour or so, just checking. Hopefully you can see there's a good net full of fish there, but we're not going to lift it out. We're just going to let them swim out. Gary's waving them bye-bye as they go.
Well, that was a session, mate, wasn't it?
Indeed.
Well done, mate.